Letting go sounds simple, doesn't it? But in reality, it is one of the most difficult things we can do. Surely you've experienced that feeling too, when you had to give up something you cherished, whether it was a beautiful memory, a close relationship, or a job you had been committed to for a long time. Letting go is not simply about relaxing or walking away. It is a challenging journey where you must face emotions, painful memories, and sometimes the feeling of losing part of yourself. However, the truth is that we often suffer more when we keep holding on tightly to things that no longer bring positive value to our lives. So why is letting go so difficult? It's because whenever we become attached to something, we create a bond for ourselves, and breaking that bond is a major challenge for our emotions and mind, especially when we love, appreciate, or even depend on something. Letting go feels like losing an important part of who we are. But have you ever asked yourself this? Does holding on to something make you feel free, or does it imprison you? Learning to let go is not about giving up, but about liberation. Liberation from things that no longer align with your goals and dreams. Letting go is not the end, but the creation of space for new things, for change, and for new opportunities. In fact, when you let go, you don't lose control. On the contrary, you regain control of your life while also creating a sense of lightness, peace, and clarity. This will help you focus on what truly matters, instead of getting stuck in things that are outdated and no longer useful. So how do we let go? Start by understanding more about detachment. Detachment does not mean becoming emotionless or indifferent. It's not about being indifferent to everything happening around you, but about maintaining inner peace despite the chaos or changes out there. Detachment can simply be understood as freeing yourself from things you cannot control. That is how you reclaim your freedom. If you're always clinging to someone, to a situation or a specific outcome, you won't feel at ease. You'll only create anxiety and tension. Stoic philosophy teaches that true freedom doesn't come from controlling everything around you, but from how you respond to what happens in life. In fact, maintaining inner peace when everything around you is changing is the true form of freedom. You might think, this is really hard. How can I let go when everything seems important to me? Try imagining something very simple. You're holding a handful of sand. If you squeeze too tightly, the sand will slip out. But if you hold it gently, the sand will stay in your hand. That is the essence of detachment. It's not about pushing everything away, but learning how to hold things lightly, without letting them determine your emotions or inner peace. To unlock the power of detachment, the first thing you need to do is identify what you are currently clinging to. You might be trying to hold on to a relationship that no longer brings you happiness, or trying to control a situation at work that you cannot change, or even a memory from the past that you just cannot forget. Recognizing what is holding you back is the first step in the journey of freeing yourself. Next, you need to practice conscious acceptance. This doesn't mean ignoring what's happening, but rather accepting that not everything is within your control. When you accept what cannot be changed, you can then decide how to respond to it. For example, if someone upsets you, instead of trying to change that person's behavior, you can focus on setting healthy boundaries for yourself, so you're not overly affected by others' emotions. When you can let go of unnecessary emotional burdens, you will feel lighter, more peaceful, and more open to receiving new things. Not only that, you will become stronger in managing your emotions and reactions, no matter what circumstances arise. Returning to the topic of detachment, we have explored how to let go and free ourselves from emotional burdens that serve no purpose. But in reality, to put this into practice in daily life, we need a practical tool to train and maintain calmness in our minds. And that tool is creating distance between your emotions and your actions. One of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do right now is to take just 5 minutes a day to reflect on something you feel attached to. And that is causing stress in your life. The question to ask yourself is this something I can control, or is it something I need to let go of? Sometimes we create pressure for ourselves by trying to control everything. If the answer is I can't control this, then the next step is to practice letting go, at least mentally. Say to yourself, I choose to let go of what I cannot control. With just this simple exercise, you will gradually train your ability to focus on what truly matters and eliminate unnecessary burdens, the kind that only wear you out. Ask yourself, am I holding on to this because I truly care, or because I fear what will happen if I let go? Attachment that stems from fear will only bring us suffering. But when you detach in a healthy way, you create space for growth, freedom, and peace in your soul. Remember, detachment is not about abandoning everything. It also doesn't mean you give up on people or your responsibilities. On the contrary, detachment is about protecting your inner world from the chaos caused by external events. You can still be fully present in life without being swept away by outcomes you can't control. When you unlock the power of detachment, you will begin to experience life with greater clarity and balance. From there, you'll learn how to face intense emotions, and your emotional resilience will grow. You free yourself from the weight of things you cannot change and discover a lighter, more peaceful life. Next, the second lesson we will explore is one of the most important skills in the journey of letting go and detachment: stepping back to gain clarity of mind. Have you ever felt like life was crashing down on you with an unbearable weight? When emotions run high and your mind becomes clouded, it's easy to react impulsively, make poor decisions, or let stress take control. In that moment, the most important thing you can do is step back. Stepping back does not mean avoiding or giving up. Simply, it is the way you create space between your emotions and your actions. When you pause, you give yourself the chance to regain clarity of mind. Surely you've been in a stressful situation where everything around you made you feel like you were losing control. Everything seems urgent. Your mind gets swept up in a mess of thoughts and emotions, and you can't think clearly. But if you allow yourself to pause, even for just a few seconds or a brief moment, you'll realize that you can view everything from a different perspective, and that is the power of stepping back. Imagine you are a painter standing too close to your canvas. When you're too close, all you can see are individual brushstrokes and minor imperfections, unable to grasp the bigger picture. However, if you step back a few steps, you'll see the entire painting more clearly and understand the meaning of each stroke. In the same way, when you step back from a stressful situation, you can see it more clearly, no longer blinded by temporary emotions. In reality, stepping back can be as simple as taking a deep breath, walking around the room, or journaling to help sort through your thoughts. These simple actions help you create mental space, allowing emotions to settle and your mind to regain calm. Once you have that distance, you'll have the opportunity to assess the situation more accurately and make decisions aligned with your values and goals. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This is the key to finding true strength in life. When you realize you can control how you respond to external events, you'll find an invisible strength and freedom. In fact, strength does not come from controlling every situation, but from controlling how you perceive and respond to it. So how can you apply this technique in daily life? A simple and effective way is to practice the pause technique. The next time you feel pressure and stress, before reacting, try pausing for 10 seconds. Take a deep breath, count to 10, or even just close your eyes for a moment. In that moment, ask yourself, what is the best response here? Remember, it's not the quickest or easiest response, but the one that aligns with the person you want to become. Clarity comes from calmness. By creating space between emotion and action, you'll be able to choose your actions thoughtfully, instead of being swept away by a wave of emotion. And that is the key to living a peaceful, free, and meaningful life. One effective method is perspective journaling. When you feel stuck, overwhelmed by emotions, or unable to find a solution, try taking 5 to 10 minutes to write down your thoughts, but not in the style of venting. Write as if you are offering advice to a close friend who is facing the same situation. This helps you detach from subjective emotion and view the problem from a more objective angle. While writing, ask yourself, am I too close to this situation to see it clearly? If the answer is yes, that's a sign you need to step back a little and give yourself the time and space to reflect. Creating this mental distance is not always easy, but once you begin practicing it, you will notice that your ability to make wise decisions improves significantly. Not every situation requires an immediate reaction, and sometimes the wisest action is the one taken after a calm moment of reflection. Always remember, stepping back is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of wisdom. It is an intentional act choosing clarity over chaos, choosing reflection over impulsive reaction. When you build the habit of stepping back during stressful situations, you cultivate a more thoughtful and composed approach to life. You'll learn to see challenges for what they truly are, temporary obstacles, not permanent problems. In doing so, you reclaim control over your mind and emotions. Imagine, when you master the ability to step back, not only do you make better decisions, but you also begin to shape a life where peace of mind becomes your default state, no matter what storms life may bring. But that alone is not enough. Stepping back and staying calm is only part of the story. The next lesson takes you to a more important step on this journey: deciding when to create distance from people or situations that are negative. This is a difficult decision, but sometimes it is a necessary act to protect your emotional well-being. In life, you will encounter many situations and relationships that may no longer serve you in a healthy way. It could be a draining relationship, a toxic work environment, or even a personal habit that no longer helps you grow. And sometimes, holding on too long to such things can harm your emotional health. But how do you know when it's time to create distance? The first step is self-awareness. You need to ask yourself, is this relationship or situation helping me grow, or is it holding me back? Growth is not always comfortable. That's why it's important to distinguish between temporary discomfort, which can lead to growth, and prolonged negativity, which only leaves you feeling exhausted and hurt. If you constantly feel anxious, unappreciated, or dismissed in a certain situation, it may be a sign that it's time to consider creating distance. In truth, many people struggle with this because they fear feeling guilty. You may feel responsible for others' emotions, or worry that creating distance makes you a bad person. However, the truth is that setting boundaries is not selfish. In fact, it is essential to maintaining your mental health. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot control others, we can only control our actions and choices. The famous quote by Epictetus, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them," serves as an important reminder. Creating distance is a deliberate response, an act of protecting your emotional well-being. When you create space, you also give yourself the chance to reflect on your own values. You might ask yourself, is staying in this situation truly aligned with the person I want to become? Sometimes we stay in unhealthy patterns simply out of habit or fear of change. But if staying means compromising your values or your mental health, then that is the moment to consider a different path. Once you've decided that it's time to create distance, it's important to do so quietly and respectfully. Creating distance does not mean abandoning someone or giving up on them. It simply means you are prioritizing your own peace and personal growth. This process doesn't have to come with dramatic declarations or intense confrontations unless absolutely necessary. In fact, often it's enough to simply reduce the time you spend with that person or gradually withdraw from a situation. This approach helps you protect your energy without triggering unnecessary conflict. Quietly creating distance can be the most effective method in many cases. But if you're still unsure whether it's truly time to step back, you can try a temporary distance. Set a period of time, for example, 2 weeks during which you intentionally limit your interaction with that person or situation. During this time, pay attention to how you feel. Do you feel calmer and more focused? Or do you miss the interaction? Or perhaps you feel relieved not having to face it? This trial phase can help you realize whether long-term distance is the right decision. It's important to ask yourself, am I staying in this relationship out of obligation or because it truly adds value to my life? If your answer leans toward obligation or guilt, this may be a sign that it's time to step back. Remember, you can still care about someone while maintaining your boundaries. Distance is not the absence of love or respect. In reality, it's a way to preserve your mental health and inner peace. Another key factor to consider is communication. While silent distance may be a reasonable choice in many situations, there are relationships that require an honest conversation. If the relationship is worth preserving but needs adjustment, consider expressing your feelings and setting clear boundaries. Sometimes, creating distance doesn't mean cutting ties completely, but rather redefining the relationship in a way that suits both parties. Deciding when to create distance is truly an important choice in protecting your growth and mental well-being. It's not about blaming or resenting others. It's about making space for clarity, peace, and personal development. When you let go of what no longer serves you, you open the door to healthier relationships, better opportunities, and a life that aligns with your values. In the end, life is too short to stay stuck in draining situations. By learning how and when to create distance, you take a vital step toward a life of clear purpose, peace, and self-respect. And when life becomes overwhelming, one of the most powerful ways to regain clarity is through deep conversations with people you trust. These conversations not only help you release emotions, but they are also a path to insight, growth, and healing. Surely you've experienced the feeling that when you open up to a close friend, all your worries and exhaustion seem to fade away. These very conversations can offer you a new perspective, challenge negative thinking, and reveal solutions you never considered before. However, not every conversation can build trust. Superficial talks or ones filled with judgment will not create true connection. Trust is built through conversations that are honest, vulnerable, and supportive. It happens when both parties feel safe enough to open up without fear of being misunderstood or criticized. Deep, non-judgmental listening is also a key element in building lasting relationships. When you're able to create meaningful conversations and find genuine connection, you will feel a sense of relief and inner peace. This is one of the most powerful ways to release emotions and regain clarity in life. When you find people who are willing to listen and share with you, you will never feel alone on your journey of self-discovery. Imagine a moment when you find a trusted friend, someone you can talk to and express your deepest thoughts. These conversations do not always have to offer immediate solutions, but they serve as keys that open new doors in your life. And once you've found strength in this kind of authentic connection, you'll feel as though you can face any challenge life brings. In Stoic philosophy, trust and open dialogue are essential components of human development. The Stoics not only valued communication, but saw it as an opportunity to challenge thinking, renew the self, and grow through deep discussion. Seneca, one of the great philosophers of this school, once wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." This statement is not only a reminder to seek out people who encourage your personal growth, but also a call to surround yourself with those who help you expand your perspective and challenge your own limitations. When building trust through conversation, it's important to create an environment of respect and empathy. This is not just about listening, it's about understanding the deeper emotions of others. Sometimes, people around you don't need advice or solutions, they just need to feel heard, supported, and understood. A simple phrase like, "I understand how you feel," or "I'm here for you," can make a huge difference in reinforcing trust and strengthening a meaningful relationship. Conversations are not only opportunities to release emotions, but also chances to learn, reflect, and evolve. When facing difficult situations and in need of clarity, don't hesitate to reach out to someone you trust. It could be a close friend, a mentor, or even a professional counselor. Sharing your thoughts will help you organize them, while hearing another person's perspective may reveal insights you hadn't considered. However, it's crucial to choose people who genuinely respect your boundaries and can create a safe space for you to open up. A simple but powerful action in this situation is to identify 1 or 2 people in your life whom you truly trust. When you feel overwhelmed or confused, reach out and begin the conversation by saying, "I'm feeling confused and overwhelmed about something, and I really value your perspective," or "I just need someone to talk to." This opening line creates the space for them to listen without feeling pressured to provide immediate answers. Sometimes, simply having someone listen is all it takes to help you find your own solution. Additionally, remember that building trust is a two-way process. It's not just about seeking support when you need it. You also need to be willing to offer support when others come to you. Trust is reinforced through presence, active listening, and showing empathy when someone shares their struggles with you. This mutual exchange is essential in building and maintaining strong relationships, the kind that can support you through life's ups and downs. You might ask yourself, do I have trustworthy people in my life with whom I can have meaningful conversations? If yes, make sure you consistently nurture and maintain those relationships. If not, don't hesitate to seek out new connections. You can join support communities, groups, or even professional networks where trust and open dialogue are valued. When you surround yourself with trustworthy individuals, deep conversations will not only help you release emotions, but also provide valuable lessons about life and human nature. Trust is not something that can be built overnight. It's a long process, cultivated through consistent actions of vulnerability, empathy, and understanding. Through meaningful conversations, you not only release emotional burdens, but also strengthen relationships that help you stay grounded through life's difficulties. In a world filled with superficial interactions, deep conversations are a precious gift that remind you you're not alone. These conversations help you view things from a new perspective and provide the emotional support you need to overcome tough times. By building trust and encouraging open dialogue, you not only create a strong network of connections, but also build the inner strength needed to face life's challenges. Remember, each meaningful conversation helps you grow, and through that growth, you learn to live a more complete and fulfilling life, not just for yourself, but also for those around you. Lesson 5. Mastering emotional boundaries. Have you ever felt swept up in someone else's emotions, absorbing their stress, anxiety, or negativity to the point that it felt like your own? If you've experienced this, you're not alone. Many of us struggle with maintaining emotional boundaries, the invisible lines that protect your feelings from the influence of others. Without these boundaries, you may become emotionally drained, disoriented, or unintentionally pulled into problems that aren't yours. Mastering emotional boundaries doesn't mean becoming closed off or indifferent. In fact, it's about learning how to protect your mental health while still showing empathy and offering support to others. When you establish healthy emotional boundaries, you create a balance between caring for others and caring for yourself. You can still express compassion, but not at the cost of your inner peace. Why is this so important? Without boundaries, you can easily take on emotions that don't belong to you, leading to emotional burnout, resentment, and strained relationships. Stoic philosophy reminds us that while we can care about others, we must still retain control over our inner world. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This wisdom applies not only to external events, but also to the emotions of those around us. You cannot control others' emotions, but you can control how much they affect you. The first step in mastering emotional boundaries is awareness. Pay attention and ask yourself, am I feeling this way because of my own situation, or because I've absorbed someone else's emotions? Recognizing when you've crossed emotional boundaries is the key to reclaiming control and protecting your peace. Once you can identify this intrusion, you can begin to adjust and preserve your own emotional space. Next, an important step in mastering emotional boundaries is clear and assertive communication. Setting boundaries is not about confrontation or creating conflict. It's about clarity and respect. For example, if a friend regularly unloads their problems on you in a way that leaves you emotionally drained, you might say, "I care about you and want to support you, but I also need to take care of my mental health. Can we keep our conversations a bit shorter?" This approach not only shows empathy, but also sets a clear boundary between you and the other person. Another helpful strategy is to use visualization techniques. When you find yourself in an emotionally intense situation, imagine a protective barrier around you like an invisible shield that allows you to empathize without being swept up in someone else's emotions. Practicing this mindset reinforces the idea that you can care without carrying the full weight of someone else's feelings. A practical step you can take next time you feel overwhelmed by another person's emotions is to pause. Take a deep breath and separate your feelings from theirs. Remind yourself, their emotions are their own. I can care without carrying. In addition, an essential part of mastering emotional boundaries is maintaining your inner resilience. You can do this through breathing exercises, journaling, or taking short walks to unwind. These activities help you stay grounded and prevent you from being overwhelmed by external emotions. Ask yourself, am I sacrificing my emotional well-being in order to support someone else? If the answer is yes, remind yourself that setting boundaries is not selfish. In fact, it's necessary so you can care for yourself and support others without burning out. It's also important to understand that emotional boundaries may not always be respected immediately. Sometimes, people around you may not understand or accept the limits you've set. But that does not mean those boundaries are invalid. Be firm and patient. The more you practice setting and maintaining boundaries, the more others will gradually learn to respect you, and you will learn to respect yourself. Mastering emotional boundaries not only helps you maintain your mental health, but also allows you to build healthy, lasting relationships. When you can protect your emotional space while still offering empathy and support, life becomes lighter, relationships less tense, and you are better able to help others without becoming exhausted. Emotions are a vital part of life, but remember, you have the right to choose how they affect you. Lesson 6. Weighing the consequences of creating distance. There are times in life when creating distance from a person or situation becomes necessary, not only to protect your mental health, but also to help you grow and live a more meaningful life. However, this decision is never easy. It is often accompanied by complex emotions, worries, and doubts about the potential consequences. Carefully considering those consequences is a crucial step to ensure that your decision comes not from impulsiveness or frustration, but from clarity and purpose. Creating distance can take many forms. It could mean ending a toxic relationship, leaving a job that's draining you, or stepping back from a long-term friendship that no longer aligns with your values. In any situation, what matters most is evaluating the impact that this separation will have, not just on your life, but on those around you. This is a decision that affects not only your present, but also your relationships and your future. The goal of creating distance is not to avoid discomfort, but to prioritize personal growth, health, and inner peace. Stoic philosophy teaches us that important decisions must be made intentionally. The Stoics, before taking action, would always reflect carefully on whether their decision aligned with their personal values and long-term well-being. Seneca, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once advised, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This means that the fears and worst-case scenarios we imagine are often far worse than the actual consequences of creating distance. By thoughtfully considering real outcomes rather than being caught in unfounded fears, you can make more reasonable and insightful decisions. An approach to considering the consequences of creating distance. Evaluate the emotional impact. First, ask yourself, how does this situation make me feel every day? If the answer is consistently negative, you feel stressed, anxious, or stuck, that's a strong sign that creating distance might be the right choice. Pay attention to your emotions, as they often reflect the need for change in your life. Consider long-term growth. Next, ask yourself, is this situation or relationship helping me grow or holding me back? This is a vital question for assessing the long-term value of the relationship or situation. If continuing to stay leaves you drained and stagnant, it's a clear sign that change is needed. Reflect on your goals and dreams. Does this current situation still support your future growth and happiness? Acknowledge potential losses. Every act of separation involves some form of loss, whether emotional, social, or financial. Be honest with yourself about what you might lose when creating distance. It could be a friend, part of your career, or even a family connection. But also ask, is this loss worth the peace and clarity I stand to gain? In truth, loss is not always negative. Sometimes letting go of what no longer serves you opens space for something better to come. Short-term discomfort is sometimes necessary for long-term growth. Creating distance doesn't always mean cutting ties completely. In many cases, you can choose to distance yourself instead of ending the relationship or situation entirely. For example, if a relationship feels draining but not fully toxic, you can choose to spend less time with that person or avoid emotionally intense interactions. This allows you to protect your mental well-being without abruptly cutting ties. Conclusion: when facing the decision to create distance, remember that it is a strategic move to protect your mental health and long-term development. What matters is not impulsive action, but thoughtful reflection and decision-making based on your values. Every step in this journey requires clarity, And sometimes, even a small change can open the door to greater opportunities for a more peaceful, fulfilling life. Lesson 6. Weighing the consequences of creating distance. When confronting the decision to create distance, a practical and helpful action is to do a pros and cons reflection exercise. This method is simple, but helps you gain clearer insight into your decision. Take a piece of paper and divide it into 2 columns. On one side, write benefits of staying in the situation or relationship, and on the other side, benefits of creating distance. Listing these elements visually helps you compare and assess the impact of each choice, making your decision easier to reach. Ask yourself, am I staying because I truly want to, or because I'm afraid of the consequences of leaving? Fear of change can often keep you stuck and make decision-making difficult. However, when you finally decide to move on, you may realize that what you feared was not as bad as you imagined. In reality, the fear of change is often more unsettling than the change itself. Acknowledging this can ease your anxiety and open the path to something new. Remember, considering the consequences of separation is not about finding a perfect solution, but about choosing the path that best supports your growth and mental well-being. No decision comes without challenges, but taking time to reflect and evaluate will help you make a thoughtful choice aligned with your values. Letting go is rarely easy, but it is often necessary. When you have carefully weighed your options and decide to create distance, you open the door to a lighter and freer life. You make space for new opportunities, healthier relationships, and a more elevated version of yourself, no longer weighed down by things that no longer serve you. Lesson 7. Detoxing from social media. In today's digital age, social media has become an inseparable part of daily life. However, with unlimited connectivity and constant updates, it is easy to fall into the trap of distraction, comparison, and endless consumption. While social media can help us stay connected to friends, family, and information, it also brings with it a heavy dose of digital noise distraction, unrealistic comparisons, and even anxiety from non-stop updates. Detoxing from social media doesn't mean giving it up entirely. It means creating space for clarity, focus, and genuine connection by reducing the influence social media has on your everyday life. Social media keeps your mind in a constant state of stimulation. Every notification, post, or like triggers a small dopamine release in your brain, conditioning you to keep seeking more. This loop creates dependence, making stillness and quiet moments feel uncomfortable. However, true peace does not come from external stimulation. It comes from learning to be present, reflective, and content with yourself. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of focusing on what truly matters in life. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, and one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "You must reclaim yourself for yourself. The world distracts you with countless things. Focus on a few essential ones and let go of the rest." Social media can be a useful tool, but if used without mindfulness, it pulls you away from what truly matters: meaningful relationships, inner peace, and personal growth. There are several ways to detox from social media. Take a complete break from social media for a period of time. For some, Stepping away completely for a few days or weeks is an effective way to reduce its grip and regain focus. Limit daily usage time. If you don't want to quit entirely, another option is to set a daily limit on how much time you spend on social media. You can use apps that track your screen time or set strict personal rules. Unfollow accounts that don't add value. Another approach is to unfollow or remove accounts and sources that don't contribute positively to your life. This way, you're left with only the content and connections that support your growth and help you maintain inner calm. The goal is not to eliminate social media entirely, but to reclaim control over how you interact with it. When you do this, you'll be able to enjoy more genuine connections and rediscover inner stillness, instead of being swept away by endless waves of information. Lesson 7. Detoxing from social media. In today's digital world, social media has become an essential part of daily life. However, without mindful control, it can easily consume your time and energy, leaving you distracted and disconnected from your inner peace. Detoxing from social media doesn't mean quitting it altogether, but rather creating space for clarity and authentic connection by reducing its dominance in your life. To begin your social media detox, you can try the following steps. Identify your triggers. Pay attention to when and why you open social media. Is it because of boredom, stress, or simply habit? Understanding what prompts you to reach for your phone helps you recognize emotional triggers. From there, you can explore healthier alternatives like going for a walk, reading a book, or journaling activities that offer true relaxation and inner calm. Set boundaries. Create specific time slots during the day to check social media instead of allowing it to control your entire day. For example, you might choose to check social media only after lunch or in the evening. This limits your exposure to constant notifications and digital noise. Setting these boundaries helps maintain focus and protect your peace of mind. Curate your feed. Unfollow accounts that make you feel insecure, anxious, or drained. Instead, follow those who inspire, uplift, or educate you. Your digital environment should reflect your values, not erode them. This will help you build a positive online space where you can grow and maintain mental clarity. A practical exercise you can try. Do a 24-hour social media detox. For one full day, stay completely off all social platforms. Spend that time on real-world activities, being with loved ones, doing a favorite hobby, or simply enjoying moments of stillness. At the end of the day, reflect. How did you feel? Did you truly miss anything important? Or did you feel more present, less stressed, and more focused? Ask yourself, am I using social media intentionally, or is it using me? If you realize that social media is taking up too much of your time and energy, commit to setting healthier boundaries. You don't have to quit entirely, just make sure it serves you, not the other way around. Remember, detoxing from social media is not isolation, it's reconnection. By reducing digital noise, you create space for deeper conversations, richer experiences, and greater inner peace. You learn how to be present in your own life, rather than constantly watching the highlight reels of others. When you control how you engage with social media, you reclaim your time, your focus, and your inner stillness. You free yourself from endless comparison and distraction opening space for what truly matters. Genuine connection, meaningful growth, and quiet moments of clarity that shape who you are. Lesson 8. Prioritize your core needs. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, filled with endless responsibilities, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Between work, social commitments, and constant distractions, your core needs, the things that nourish your emotions, spirit, and soul, are often neglected. But the truth is, if you don't prioritize your core needs, no one else will do it for you. Learning to identify and prioritize what truly sustains you is key to building a balanced and fulfilling life. In reality, many of us confuse wants with needs. Wants are often fleeting desires, entertainment, recognition, material things. Core needs, on the other hand, are much deeper. They are the things that help you feel grounded, fulfilled, and energized. For example, you may want to attend an important meeting, but what you truly need might be time to rest, relax, and restore your mental health. When you can distinguish between what you want and what you need, it becomes much easier to prioritize and seek balance in life. Take time to identify your core needs, caring for your body, nourishing your mind, and connecting with people you love. These needs form the foundation of personal growth and peace. When you place them at the center of your life, you'll find greater meaning and strength to face life's challenges. Start today. Prioritize what matters most, and remember to take care of yourself. You deserve a life that is full, peaceful, and whole. In the non-stop pace of modern life, it's easy to forget the core needs, the things that truly nourish your emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. We chase work, social obligations, and endless distractions, forgetting that if we don't care for ourselves, no one else can do it for us. The key lies in learning to identify and prioritize those needs to create a life that is balanced and whole. Stoic philosophy teaches that true fulfillment does not come from having more or chasing the unnecessary, but from cultivating what is essential and helps us feel strong from within. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This is a powerful reminder to let go of temporary desires and focus on long-term values and meaningful needs. To prioritize your core needs, begin by asking yourself, what truly makes me feel alive and at peace? These core needs are often the ones that, when neglected, leave you feeling drained or disconnected. For example, if quality time with loved ones is a core need of yours, but you consistently prioritize work over relationships, you may eventually feel isolated or unfulfilled. That's why it's crucial to understand what truly sustains you, so you can maintain balance and joy in your life. Once you've identified your core needs, the next step is to carve out time for them intentionally. This might include daily time for self-care, or saying no to commitments that don't align with your values. Don't forget to create clear boundaries between work and personal life. Prioritizing your needs is not selfish. It's necessary to maintain mental and physical health so you can show up fully for the people and responsibilities that matter. Simple exercise to prioritize your core needs. Make a list of your top 5 core needs. Next to each one, write down one small action you can take this week to prioritize it. For example, If rest is one of your needs, your action might be committing to go to bed 30 minutes earlier each night. If creativity is a need, you might set aside 1 hour to work on a personal project you enjoy. The key is to start small and be consistent. You don't need to change everything all at once, just take steps toward nurturing healthier habits. Ask yourself, am I living in a way that respects my core needs, or am I constantly sacrificing them to meet external demands? If you realize you've been prioritizing the outside world over your own internal well-being, remind yourself, no external achievement or validation can replace the sense of fulfillment that comes from caring for what you truly need. An important factor to remember is letting go of guilt when prioritizing yourself. Many people feel guilty for taking time for themselves, as if they are neglecting their responsibilities. However, self-care is not abandonment. It is what enables you to fulfill your responsibilities without burning out. When you prioritize your mental and physical health, you not only improve your personal life, but you also become stronger and more energized in your relationships and work. Remember, life is not about doing more, but about doing what truly matters. When you prioritize your core needs, you build a solid foundation for balance, strength, and inner peace. You stop chasing things that do not bring fulfillment and start living in a way that nourishes your body, mind, and soul. When you dedicate time to what is truly important, you improve your quality of life and become more present, resilient, and aligned with your purpose. That's when life becomes not just something you're trying to manage, but something you genuinely enjoy. In summary, prioritizing core needs is a journey of self-nourishment. When you learn to distinguish between what you want and what you truly need, you begin to live with awareness, focusing on what truly matters and brings inner peace. In doing so, you not only live more fully, but also become a better presence for those around you. Lesson 9. Embrace gratitude and the present moment. In a world that constantly pushes us to want more success, more possessions, more recognition, it's easy to fall into the trap of focusing only on what we lack instead of what we have. This comparison-driven way of living often leaves us feeling dissatisfied, anxious, and restless. However, there is a simple yet profound remedy to this sense of lack, and that is gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful tool that helps shift your perspective from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance, from always trying to achieve more to being content in the present. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean denying life's difficulties or pretending everything is perfect. It means learning to recognize the good, no matter how small, that exists right now, even in the face of adversity. It means appreciating simple moments, like a kind word from a friend, a quiet morning, or simply the fact that you have another day to grow and experience life. When you focus on what you have instead of what's missing, you develop a mindset of wholeness and peace. Stoic philosophy with Marcus Aurelius, as one of its most prominent voices, places strong emphasis on appreciating the present. He wrote, "Do not dwell in the past or dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." Stoics believed that true contentment doesn't come from what you achieve or possess, but from fully living in the now. Gratitude is the key to staying grounded in the present. It reminds you that no matter how imperfect life may be, There is always something to be thankful for. Practicing gratitude doesn't need to be complicated or difficult. A simple and effective method is to start or end your day by thinking of 3 things you are grateful for. These don't need to be grand. Often, the smallest and most ordinary things bring the deepest sense of peace a beautiful morning. A warm conversation with someone you love, or a quiet moment alone. This practice trains your mind to notice the good, even when life feels challenging or overwhelming. Beyond gratitude, embracing the present moment also means letting go of regrets about the past and worries about the future. The past cannot be changed, and the future is uncertain. The only thing you can control is the present, the choices you make, the actions you take, and how you experience each moment. When you stop dwelling on what has already happened or obsessing over what might, you free yourself from anxiety and begin to fully live in the now. A simple action you can try. Next time you feel stressed or overwhelmed, take a pause, breathe deeply, and look around you. Find one thing, anything that you can appreciate in that very moment. It could be the warmth of sunlight, the taste of your morning coffee, or the satisfaction of completing a difficult task. As simple as it may seem, one small act of conscious gratitude can bring you back to the present and restore peace to your mind. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what I lack or on what I already have? If you notice your mind often leans towards scarcity, try consciously shifting your focus toward gratitude. This does not mean giving up your goals or aspirations, rather. It means balancing them with appreciation for what you already possess. Gratitude helps you live in the present while creating balance between desire and contentment, between action and rest. Gratitude helps you be present in each moment, allowing you to feel the power of peace and recognize that in every moment, big or small, there are things worthy of appreciation. When you maintain this practice, life becomes easier and lighter because you are no longer caught up in chasing, anxiety, or restlessness. Instead, you live with a peaceful heart, fully present and enjoying every second of life. Lesson 10. Cultivate flexibility and adaptability. Life never goes according to plan. No matter how carefully you plan or try to control outcomes, unexpected changes always occur, sometimes leaving you feeling lost. However, it is precisely in these moments when things don't go as planned that your ability to adapt and be flexible will determine whether you grow or break. Cultivating flexibility does not mean abandoning your goals or lowering your standards. In fact, flexibility is the ability to adjust your approach, remain calm in uncertainty, and find growth within each challenge. Whenever life places you in unforeseen situations, your capacity to adjust and accept change is key. Many of us resist change because it feels uncomfortable. We love stability and control, but rigidity in thought and action causes unnecessary suffering. When you refuse to adapt, you cling not only to what has passed, but also reject the opportunities and changes coming your way. Resistance to change often leads to disappointment, anxiety, and helplessness. On the other hand, when you cultivate flexibility, you learn to flow with life's changes, accept them as a natural part of existence, and find new paths forward even when things are not ideal. Stoic philosophy offers timeless wisdom on flexibility. Epictetus, One of the great Stoic philosophers said, "It is not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it." This teaching emphasizes that flexibility is not about avoiding change, but mastering how you respond to it. When you accept change as inevitable and face it calmly, you maintain clarity and inner peace despite life's challenges. Flexibility begins with changing your mindset. Instead of viewing change as a threat or obstacle, see it as an opportunity for growth. Every unexpected event, every setback in life holds valuable lessons if you are willing to seek them. For example, when you face difficulties at work or in life, instead of feeling frustrated or anxious, ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can I grow through this challenge? This shift in perspective helps you open your mind to new possibilities instead of being stuck in disappointment over what didn't go as planned. Accepting that change is part of life, and learning to adapt will make you more resilient. In doing so, you can grow through challenges, learn from mistakes, and create lasting maturity even in the toughest circumstances. Practicing flexibility in daily life. To nurture flexibility, start with small things. When you encounter an undesired situation, try pausing and taking a deep breath. Ask yourself, what can this teach me? How can I adapt to this situation? Don't rush to react or decide when emotions are running high. Give yourself time to think, evaluate, and then adjust your actions to fit the circumstances. The key to cultivating flexibility is patience and the ability to view change as an opportunity, not an obstacle. When you can adapt, you live more freely, less pressured by external factors, and enjoy life's moments more fully. Flexibility is a part of personal growth. When you learn to change, adapt, and accept what life brings, you are no longer bound by unrealistic plans or unattainable expectations. Instead, you learn to live in the present, respond to every challenge, and enjoy each moment of life. Fact, adaptability is one of the key factors that help you move forward, no matter how much things change. So when facing challenges or changes, remember that you always have the choice of how to respond. Keep nurturing flexibility in your thinking and actions, and you will find strength in every moment, no matter what life brings. Lesson 11. Cultivate compassion and generosity. In a busy, fast-paced world where everyone seems focused on their own personal goals and successes, it is easy to forget the profound power of compassion and generosity. However, these two qualities not only have the ability to transform your relationships, but also bring a more meaningful and fulfilling life. When you cultivate compassion and practice generosity, you enrich your own life while contributing to creating a better community and world. Cultivating compassion and practicing generosity are not signs of weakness. They are expressions of inner strength and self-respect. Compassion is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It is not just acknowledging what others are going through, but truly listening without judgment and offering sincere support. Compassion allows you to connect deeply with those around you, helping you understand them better and create genuine bonds. Practicing compassion begins with opening your heart and understanding others' emotions without rushing to offer advice or solutions. Sometimes, simply listening with sincerity is enough to make someone feel supported and comforted. Generosity, on the other hand, is your willingness to share not only material possessions, but also time, care, and love with those around you. Generosity benefits not only the receiver, but also enriches your own life. When you cultivate compassion and practice generosity, you will feel deeper connections with others and greater satisfaction within your soul. You will find that personal or material success does not always bring lasting joy. Rather, sharing, loving, and caring sincerely are what bring profound fulfillment. Practicing compassion and generosity helps you build lasting relationships, nourish your spirit, and create a better world. A practical way to cultivate compassion is to start by listening and showing understanding. When interacting with others, listen actively and without judgment. This helps them feel cared for and supported, while helping you build more sincere relationships. Sometimes a hug, an encouraging word, or simply sitting beside someone and listening is all it takes to provide comfort and support. Generosity can begin with small daily actions. It might be helping a friend in need or simply spending time helping someone without expecting anything in return. These small acts bring joy to others and help you feel your life is more meaningful. When you give without calculation, you receive satisfaction and peace in return. Compassion and generosity are qualities that can change your life in ways you never imagined. People who practice compassion often feel deeper connections with others and experience a more meaningful life. Generous people feel more fulfilled and rewarded by the values they create. When you nurture both, you not only enrich your own life, but also bring joy and peace to those around you. Finally, remember that compassion and generosity are soft powers, not always expressed through grand actions, but sometimes through small, simple deeds that have a powerful impact on your life and relationships. Living with compassion and generosity creates a better community, a world with less judgment and more love. This brings fulfillment not only to you, but to everyone you meet. Start today. Practice compassion and generosity in every situation, and you will realize that life becomes much more beautiful and meaningful. Lesson 11. Cultivate compassion and generosity. In a world where everyone often focuses on personal goals and individual success, it is easy to forget the profound power of compassion and generosity. However, these two qualities not only have the ability to transform your relationships, but also bring a more meaningful and fulfilling life. When you cultivate compassion and practice generosity, you enrich your own life and help create a better world for those around you. Cultivating compassion and practicing generosity are not signs of weakness. They are expressions of inner strength and self-respect. Compassion is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. This is not just about acknowledging what others are going through, but truly listening to them without judgment and offering sincere support. Compassion allows you to connect deeply with people around you, helping you understand them better and create genuine bonds. Generosity, on the other hand, is not simply about giving material things. It also means giving your time, attention, kindness, and experience. True generosity comes from a place of abundance, not obligation. When you give freely without expecting anything in return, You nurture a mindset of abundance and soothe feelings of lack or deprivation in life. Reflect for a moment. When was the last time you showed compassion or practiced generosity without expecting anything back? Small acts like listening to a friend, helping a colleague, or simply sending a sincere word of encouragement create ripples of positivity that extend beyond the present moment. These actions not only support the receiver, but also help the giver feel fulfillment and deep connection with others. However, cultivating compassion and generosity does not mean neglecting yourself. In fact, compassion starts with yourself. If you constantly give without caring for yourself, you can easily feel exhausted and resentful. That is why practicing self-compassion is so important. Be kind to yourself when you struggle. Forgive yourself when you make mistakes, and treat yourself with the same empathy you offer others. When you nurture compassion for yourself, you will have enough energy and love to continue sharing with others. Another powerful aspect of generosity is that it helps you turn your focus outward. When caught up in personal worries, giving, whether through volunteering, mentoring, or simply being present for someone, can reduce anxiety and increase your sense of purpose. Generosity creates a positive cycle. The more you give, the more connected and fulfilled you feel. Practicing generosity not only brings joy to others, but also helps you feel that your life is meaningful. A practical action you can take every day. Look for an opportunity to perform a small act of compassion or generosity. It might be listening to someone without interrupting, helping a person in need, or simply sending a caring message to a dear friend. Small but consistent actions build the habit of compassion and generosity, strengthening your character and enriching your relationships. Ask yourself, am I approaching my interactions with compassion, or am I focused only on my own perspective? If you notice selfish thinking creeping in, pause and try to see things from another's point of view. This simple shift can completely transform how you connect with people and build deeper, more meaningful relationships. Remember, cultivating compassion and practicing generosity do not have to be grand gestures. Small, simple acts performed with kindness and presence in everyday moments can have tremendous impact. When you make compassion and generosity a core part of your life, you not only improve your relationships, but also nurture a sense of purpose, fulfillment, and inner peace. Ultimately, what truly matters is not how much you accumulate, but how much you give. By cultivating compassion and practicing generosity, you create a life full of connection, meaning, and lasting impact. You live not just for yourself, you become a source of light and strength for those around you. And in doing so, you discover a deep and genuine sense of happiness and fulfillment. Lesson 12. Nurture your mind and body. In a world that constantly demands your attention, energy, and effort, it is easy to neglect the most important foundation of a fulfilling life, your mind and body. We often push ourselves to the limit, placing external achievements above internal health, only to realize that without proper care, energy depletes, focus diminishes, and peace of mind gradually fades. Nurturing your mind and body is not a luxury. It is essential to living a balanced, resilient, and meaningful life. When you care for your body, you not only improve physical health, but also support mental clarity, emotional stability, and an overall sense of well-being. A healthy body is the foundation for a healthy mind, and vice versa. A clear mind helps you maintain long-term physical health. Exercise, proper nutrition, and rest are not just physical acts, they directly influence how you feel, think, and respond to life's challenges. Seneca once said, "A healthy mind in a healthy body." This succinct phrase fully captures a state of happiness in this world. The Stoics believed that a disciplined approach to the body was necessary to build a strong mind. Mind and body are inseparable. Comprehensive care for both is key to a fulfilled life. Nurturing your mind is not just about consuming information. It also involves providing thoughts, ideas, and practices that promote growth and peace. This means being selective about what you read, watch, and listen to, and actively engaging in practices like mindfulness, meditation, and reflection that soothe the mind and enhance focus. The mind needs to be nourished with healthy mental food, not only from external sources, but also internally through stillness and deep contemplation. Begin by asking yourself, which current habits are nurturing my mind and body, and which are draining my energy? Identifying these patterns is the first step to creating a lifestyle that supports inner flourishing. For example, staying up late scrolling social media may seem harmless, but over time, it disrupts sleep, depletes energy, and clouds the mind. In contrast, prioritizing rest, physical activity, and quiet time for reflection can profoundly impact your mood, performance, and resilience. One of the simplest and most effective ways to nurture your body is through movement. This does not have to mean intense gym workouts. It can be a morning walk, stretching, or any activity that promotes blood flow and activates energy. Regular movement not only improves physical health, but also releases endorphins hormones that elevate mood and reduce stress. Equally important is nutrition. The food you consume is the fuel for your body and mind. Eating a balanced diet rich in whole and unprocessed foods provides your brain with the nutrients needed to function at its best. A healthy diet supports not only physical health, but also alertness, concentration, and mental strength. Perfection is not required, just small, consistent choices that support long-term well-being. For nurturing the mind, stillness and reflection are key. In a noisy and distracting world, dedicating daily time to quiet, whether meditation, journaling, or simply sitting peacefully, helps clear the mind and strengthen presence. These moments of stillness assist in processing thoughts, releasing tension, and reconnecting with what truly matters. Practicing mindfulness, whether at work or rest, helps maintain awareness and feel peace in every moment of life. A small habit can make a big difference. Try dedicating 5 to 10 minutes each morning or evening to deep breathing, meditation, or journaling. These moments help you start or end your day peacefully, refreshing your mind and maintaining alertness. When you nurture your mind and body, you not only improve your health, but also gain resilience to face life's challenges. Life is not just about achieving external goals, but also about caring for your inner self, both physically and mentally. By nurturing your mind and body, you live a full, balanced, and sustainable life. Remember, when you care for yourself, you prepare to face any challenge while creating a solid foundation for happiness and peace within. Lesson 12. Nurture your mind and body. In a world that constantly demands your attention, energy, and effort, it is easy to neglect the most important foundation of a fulfilling life, your mind and body. We often push ourselves to the limit, placing external achievements above internal health, only to realize that without proper care, energy will deplete, focus will diminish, and peace of mind will gradually fade. Nurturing your mind and body is not a luxury. It is essential to living a balanced, resilient, and meaningful life. When you care for your body, you not only improve physical health, but also support mental clarity, emotional stability, and an overall sense of well-being. A healthy body is the foundation for a healthy mind, and conversely, a clear mind helps you maintain long-term physical health. Exercise, proper nutrition, and rest are not just physical acts, they directly influence how you feel, think, and respond to life's challenges. Seneca once said, "A healthy mind in a healthy body." This concise statement fully describes a state of happiness in this world. The Stoics believed that a disciplined approach to the body is necessary to build a strong mind. The body and mind are inseparable. Comprehensive care for both is the key to a fulfilled life. Nurturing the mind is not only about absorbing information, it also involves providing the mind with thoughts, ideas, and practices that promote growth and peace. This means being selective about what you read, watch, and listen to, and actively engaging in practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and reflection that soothe the mind and enhance focus. The mind needs to be nourished with healthy mental food, not only from external sources, but also from within through stillness and deep contemplation. Start by asking yourself, which current habits are nurturing my mind and body, and which are draining my energy? Identifying these patterns is the first step toward creating a lifestyle that supports inner flourishing. For example, staying up late scrolling through social media may seem harmless, but over time disrupts sleep, drains energy, and unsettles the mind. In contrast, prioritizing rest, physical activity, and quiet time for reflection can have a profound impact on your mood, performance, and resilience. When it comes to nurturing the mind, stillness and reflection are key. In a noisy and distracting world, taking time each day to be still, whether through meditation, journaling, or simply sitting quietly, helps clear your mind and strengthen your ability to be present. These moments of stillness help you process thoughts, relieve stress, and reconnect with what truly matters. Practicing mindfulness, whether at work or during relaxation, helps you maintain awareness and experience peace in every moment of life. A small habit can make a big difference. Try dedicating 5 to 10 minutes each morning or evening to deep breathing, meditation, or journaling. These moments will help you start or end the day peacefully, refreshing your mind and sustaining your alertness. When you take time to nurture your mind and body, you not only improve your health, but also build resilience to face life's challenges. Life is not only about achieving external goals, but also about caring for your inner self, both physically and mentally. By nurturing your mind and body, you will live a full, balanced, and sustainable life. Remember, when you care for yourself, you prepare to face any challenge and create a solid foundation for happiness and peace within. So we have explored together the journey of self-nurturing. From letting go of unnecessary burdens to intentionally caring for mind and body. Every step, no matter how small, creates a meaningful change in your life, helping you live with peace, clarity, and greater fulfillment. Remember, self-care is not a luxury, but an essential part of living fully with yourself and those around you. When you invest time in nurturing your mind and body, you lay the groundwork for sustainable success and a life full of joy, meaning, and connection. Thank you for following along and sharing these valuable lessons on this journey. I hope these insights help you live intentionally, grow stronger, and always cherish what truly matters in life. Wishing you strength, purpose, and above all, don't forget to let go of what no longer serves you, to make room for what truly matters. See you in the next videos, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any exciting content. Goodbye, and see you soon.